Now, this is breaking news from WCCO.
Right now on WCCO Mid-Morning, the jury is set and both sides are ready to present their cases in the Derek Chauvin murder trial. George Floyd's family calling for accountability and drawing on faith to get them through.
Protesters gathering to demand justice. We will bring you the opening statements live as Minnesota and the world watches the trial of Derek Chauvin. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I'm Heather Brown.
And I'm Jason DeRusha. All eyes on Minneapolis today as opening statements are set to take place in the Derek Chauvin murder trial.
George Floyd's death last May sparked worldwide protests and demands for justice. Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer, faces second and third-degree murder charges as well as second-degree manslaughter.
Today, Judge Peter Cahill will swear in the jury. He will give them some short jury instructions, and then the prosecution gets going, presenting opening statements followed by the defense. In the courtroom right now, we are standing by for things to get ready. This is a live picture inside the courtroom. Cameras focused on the seal of the state of Minnesota as they are getting ready whenever we're in a break or as the juror is coming in.
We know crowds have been gathering outside of the Hennepin County Government Center this morning. This is all in anticipation of the court proceedings. Here's a look from Sky 4 from earlier in the hour. The family of George Floyd spoke outside the courtroom just about an hour ago. Christiane Cordero joins us live with what they had to say. Christiane, good morning.
Heather, good morning. It certainly was powerful as they actually just cleared out. So that conversation lasted the solid part of an hour, and it really was a preview of what is to come. Two things really stood out. All eyes are on Minneapolis, but this case is much bigger than the state of Minnesota. We understand that the passionate pleas from the prosecutors are really just rippling through the family members who spoke today, Reverend Al Sharpton who spoke today, Attorney Ben Crump, and civil attorneys as well representing the family, and really bringing the focus back to that video, bringing the focus to what Derek Chauvin did, what the world saw. And we know that that is in itself what we expect for much of this trial. We expect the defense to argue that George Floyd died because of a heart condition, because of drugs in his system, and the prosecution bringing the focus again back to that video. The 14 jurors, as they walk in today, will walk in with the presumption of innocence. That is the way the legal system works. And so what we saw with the family members and legal representatives speaking today was the passion and the conviction to bring justice. Here is what George Floyd's nephew had to say.
We came here for one thing and one thing only. We came to get justice and nothing less. We came to get justice.
So again, you know, that is where the conversation is this morning. As we understand, inside of the courtroom, it will be quite the contrast, as there was a lot of noise, right here on the streets of Minneapolis. Inside the walls, a very limited space for safety, for COVID precautions. But one thing that was said that kind of just put people on pause over here this morning is that Derek Chauvin is in the court, but America is on trial. Guys, back to you.
All right, Christiane Cordero, thank you.
Last night, George Floyd's family led a rally and prayer vigil in a Minneapolis church ahead of those opening statements. Reverend Al Sharpton joined the family, as well as their attorney Ben Crump. Sharpton said it's not just Chauvin on trial, but America's criminal justice system, too. They thanked the protesters in the Twin Cities for their continued dedication to justice.
Earlier in the day, a group marched in downtown Minneapolis to remind the world of their promise of no justice, no peace. Light rail service temporarily paused when protesters blocked the tracks at two stations. The rally did end with the group crowding the government center's fencing. They were chanting and shouting at the National Guard troops inside. One man yelled, quote, "We'll be here every day." For sure, we see all of this discussion, protest, attention outside the courtroom. Criminal defense attorney and legal analyst Joe Tamburino joins us now. And Joe, does all of this going on outside the courtroom, outside the courthouse, affect the proceedings inside in any way?
Good morning. Hopefully not, but one cannot avoid what's happening. I mean, obviously everything that's going on the street, in the news, in the media, and these jurors have to come into the courthouse. I mean, all 15 of them. Now, the 15th one will be released this morning, but the other 14 will keep coming in and out of the courthouse as the trial goes on. Hopefully they'll be able to separate this.
Joe, for days now, we have talked with you about what to expect in these opening statements. Christiane mentioned it once again. Can you tell us what exactly the state needs to prove? Because they don't necessarily need to prove that Chauvin's actions alone caused his death.
That's right. Excellent question. What they have to prove basically in all three charges is that what Mr. Chauvin did was a substantial causal factor in Mr. Floyd's death, whether it's the second-degree unintentional murder, the third-degree murder, or the manslaughter. They have to prove substantial causal factor. That is what they're going to probably say is immediately when they start opening statements and, of course, run through all their evidence.
Joe, we know that the prosecution has been interested in playing some videotape during the opening statements. Is that unusual to play a piece of video during an opening statement?
What he intends to do.
No, it's not. And usually what you have to do beforehand is get the permission of the court. Now, they could have done this last week in one of their chambers discussions. We don't know. If they didn't get permission yet, then they will have to do that this morning before they start the opening statements. But I would imagine they're going to want to play certain portions of that video because it's their strongest evidence.
We are seeing right now on our screen live video from the courtroom as they listen to one of the motions this morning. Joe, we talk about these cameras in the courtroom, rare, obviously, here in Minnesota. As we move forward with the opening statements, which will be broadcast nationwide, do you anticipate an impact on this trial and how they give us those opening statements?
Yes, because what they know is that the whole world is watching, and this is a window into our justice system. This is very important what's happening, and I think cameras are here to stay, because regardless of what we hear on the street or in the media or anywhere else, to actually see a trial happening from start to finish is very good for the public, and it's good for everyone to just get a clear picture of how the justice system works.
Joe Tamburino, thank you so much. Joe will be a part of our continuing live coverage throughout the trial of Derek Chauvin. If you want to grab your cell phone right now and open up your phone's camera, you can scan this code on your screen. So just point your camera right towards your screen right now. That'll take you to download our free app. It is the easiest way to watch the entire trial live and get that extra context and alerts about what happens in court. I'll be anchoring our Gavel to Gavel coverage on CBSN Minnesota every day. And our coverage here on Mid-Morning will continue live. As breaking news develops, we'll have it for you right here on WCCO TV in just a couple minutes.